Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival in Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew, and what I have for you today is our Bugout Bushcraft Bowman's Kit. Stand by. Alright guys, now before I get started, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who donated to my GoFundMe page, raising money for the relief efforts in Northwest Iowa after the severe flooding. I really appreciate it. It says a lot about your character and the kindness and generosity of those hearts beating in your chest. I also want to thank everybody who sent prayers and well wishes. Big thank you to all of you out there. It really truly means a lot. Thank you. Alright guys, so wanted to put this kit together for a little while, and it's kind of been on the back burner. The inspiration for this video is a lot of the hunting that I do. I do a lot of archery and shooting and big game hunting, deer, pigs. I also do upland bird hunting, do some trapping as well. I was also inspired by my buddy Dave Canterbury and the Pathfinder youth camp that's going on right now because they're doing a lot of bow shooting, and the bow that he showed in his last video is this same exact bow, and decided to grab it really quick and then throw a kit together with some other items and some variations and modifications that I've made. We're going to go through those. So let's take a look at the bow and arrow setup. Alright, so here is our bow taken down, just a top archery youth bow. It's a 40-pound draw weight, so we got the grip right here in the shelf, and then we got the two limbs. There's not much that needs to be done with this bow. It comes with a youth string, which is just designed for targets. So we went out, got a real string, and put this on. Added some beaver balls for silencers, as well as that knock ring, so we can have it on here and create a basic, simple survival bow. Now with that string, we need a string that is shorter than the actual bow. So I went out, found one designed for a 58-inch recurve, but it had an actual length of 52 inches. So somewhere between 3 and 5 inches shorter than the bow is long is what we're kind of looking for. And this one fits perfectly. Let me go ahead and put this together so you guys can get a better look. And you're gonna need to keep that Allen wrench as part of your kit so you can assemble and disassemble this bow. All right, so we have the bow assembled. Best part about this is it's ambidextrous in two different ways. The limbs can go top or bottom. We can switch them out so it doesn't really matter. Plus, the shelf on the actual grip here means a left-handed or a right-handed shooter could take this and shoot it, which is nice to have. In case somebody finds this bow, they can use it to survive with, or if there's somebody else in the party and they happen to be left-handed while you're right-handed, you can switch it out. Don't forget that Allen wrench, because we just have those two bolts holding the limbs in. And then we have our string on here. You can see the knock ring right back here. We got a decent brace height, roughly top of the middle finger to the back palm right here, the meat of the hand, about 5 to 6 inches. Not too bad. A decent little bow. Again, the string and the beaver balls out here as silencers. And that's all we did to this bow to modify it to make it ready for our kit. Let's take a look at the arrows. So with our arrows, this is where the most modifications are going to come into play, because we want to make this arrow as accurate as possible. The way it is now, it's okay with a certain feature that we can add to our bow, but without that feature, we're gonna have to modify these arrows. These are some cheaper takedown arrows that come in a pack of 12. They're about 30 inches long, 500s, so they're designed to go with a draw weight of about 40 to 60 pounds. So they're heavy duty arrows. They're a little bit heavier in flight, and shooting it last night with my modifications, you could tell the arrow was a little bit slow. But these are takedown arrows. They come apart right at the center, so we can put them in a quiver like this PVC pipe that can go right in our bag that we can carry with us. Waterproof, and it'll help protect the arrows inside. So let's take a look at the quiver and some of the modifications we made to our arrows. All right, so we have our PVC pipe. We just have that opening screw right up top here. Everything's painted black. Then we just have a cap that's actually glued down to the bottom. At the bottom of this cap, there's actually a piece of foam on the inside protecting the bottom of the container from our broadheads inside. So we can keep the broadheads on the arrow and they won't puncture through because we have a nice piece of foam down here. And we've got another piece of foam right up here at the top as we unscrew our lid. Cut a section out of a mat that I use when I'm trapping to kneel on. That way I keep my scent off the ground, and cut just a small circle out of that. Put in the cap right here to help protect the top of the arrows or the nocks, as well as the attachment points to screw the arrows in together. That way they don't get damaged if this thing gets rattled or takes a spill. Then we have our arrows. We got the business end of the arrows right here. 100 grain Broadhead Stingers. Always like these for survival arrows. The most modifications came to the rear of the arrow where that fletching is. Anytime we're shooting a recurve bow that's got a good shelf on it, we want to use feathered fletching, because that fletching actually compresses and decreases the chances of error when we're shooting that recurve. The problem with the arrows as they come is that that fletching is actually going to hit the shelf of the bow and deflect the arrow. All right, so if we had our arrow knocked in here ready to go and we were going to fire and shoot that arrow would travel along the shelf and that fletching would hit the shelf, lifting the rear of the arrow or the nock, causing it to deflect in flight. So that arrow, instead of flying straight, would actually lift the back end, increasing the chances of error over distance. One way we can avoid having to modify the fletching is by just getting something called a shoot around. It's just basically a plastic shelf that got a limb that compresses as the arrow comes by. And we can place this actually in the shelf of our recurve right here, lifting the arrow up and then avoiding that fletching contact with the shelf right here, because there's just an arm that collapses sitting right here that arrow can just fly by. So that's one way we can actually get around that, by just having this simple modification here. Of course, if you don't have a shoot around like this to actually lift that arrow up, the only other option we really have other than getting new arrows is to do refletching, or taking the fletching off that arrow. A very simple process. We just have our fletching stripper right here. We take off the fletching as best as possible, remove all the glue, clean the area where we're going to reapply fletching later on, and we put it in our jig. In the jig we have a clamp. It's got the fletching already sitting in here ready to go. Take the glue, put a line of glue right on that fletching, and once the shaft is completely bare and clean, we put it into the jig. And this is upside down just for demonstration purposes. We slap our jig on, that glue will start to adhere, and then once it's done we can remove the actual clamp away. The fletching will be on the arrow, and then we just rotate it and continue to rotate until we get all three fletchings on. But having an arrow jig, a way to clean and refletch arrows, is something every archer should know. So that's what we did with survival arrows here. And then once we have our arrows complete, we just take our broadheads, front half of our arrow broken down, slide it down, take our back end with the fletching up and the nocks up, and we just put them in just like that. There's enough room in there to put a few more arrows if we want to, or any other supplies we might need. Take our cap, slap it on, and now we have a waterproof quiver for all of our takedown arrows. The best part about this is we can use this PVC as another water container, or possibly a small cache if we want to hide things and use this as a concealment cache while we're out hunting. We can leave it somewhere, mark its location, and then come back and get it later. So multiple uses for a waterproof improvised quiver made out of PVC pipe. As part of our hunting kit, we need a good scout kit or recon kit as a sub kit of the overall package that we're taking out to the field with us. So we need some good optics, something to glass the area and do a recon from a distance, locate game or potential habitats. We can use binos for that. Another tip with this pair of binos is that we can unscrew one of the lenses, and now we have a solar lens or Fresnel lens that we can use to ignite tinder with the sun's rays. So multifunctional right there. Besides that optics, we need to have a way to land navigate, so we have a good compass, find direction, and give us a good direction, as well as that signaling mirror right there to signal search and rescue if we need to, and then some sort of writing stick and a pen of paper. If we can keep track accurately the distance and direction that we travel, write it down in our land navigation log here as we're making notes about potential hunting areas or game in the area, we can find our way back just using a simple Paul method to connect our last point where we stop to our first point by using proximate azimuth uniform lay on the ground, and find that distance and direction directly from where we stopped back to where we started, and walk out of any situation. We also need a way to blend into the environment and remain as undetected, or at least decrease the chances of scaring game off. And so we do that by camouflaging ourselves, having face paint to veg up. We can use that. We can even use the sniper veil that I'm using on top of the table right now to lay gear out, combined with maybe something like a simple rain jacket that's camouflage, good this time of year, BDU style, that we can throw on to blend into our environment. Moving slowly, we won't spook off the game. So having a good scout or recon kit is crucial for putting ourselves in a position with the most advantage to take that game off the field. Now let's take a look at our tools. We need tools, one, to process that game, but we also need tools to take materials off the landscape, to make improvised tools for ourselves, like a pack frame to pack that animal out, or simply to take vegetation off the landscape to help veg ourselves up, camouflage, and conceal into the wilderness. We also need ways to see in the dark and maintain those tools in the field. First one we have is a hatchet. This is the Schrade Skax Nice little hatchet. We can use this hatchet to take down material from the landscape as well as process game. I'll never forget being in ranger school in Derby phase where a ranger instructor showed up with a deer he just killed and then took out a hatchet, and that's how he processed the animal out so he could pack it up and take it home. Never forget that. But having a hatchet, this means we can take down material, process that material, get inside larger pieces of wood, and make a survival fire, as well as build a shelter and even process game. So having a hatchet is good, and it comes with a nice plastic sheath right there. Having some sort of cutting tool. We could have our belt knife. I got my belt knife on. We could have just a little field knife to process game as well, or process fire material, vegetation, whatever we need. Having a larger blade that has a couple of different functions, like this bushman's knife. One, we could use it as a short machete to chop down material and take vegetation from the landscape very quickly. We could even use this to process material. It's high carbon steel, so we could use it for flint and steel fire starting. So we could use it as a fire starter. And then the primary purpose for this blade is that it can go on the end of a stick, and we can use this as a spear. So this is a good way to have a finishing tool or a dispatch item. We can put the animal out of its misery at a distance, keeping ourselves safe. So having a tool like this, multifunctional, we can carry it with us. It's lightweight, compact, a good tool to have. And then we should have a smaller knife. This is a Buck 112 Ranger, so we can use this to process the game. There's also a knife that goes in our pocket, our primary survival knife if we dump our kit for whatever reason. But a good sturdy knife like this, it can go right in our pocket. And then we have a sharpening stone, diamond side, fine, and coarse sides, so we can maintain our tool, as well as the broadheads on our arrows. And then lastly, a flashlight with a strobe setting for search and rescue, as well as other settings so we can see in the dark, as well as land navigate in the dark and find our kill once the sun goes down. And this is our tool kit. Relatively small kit, lightweight, a lot of different tools here for a variety of different purposes, multifunctional, and that we have shelter craft, field craft, as well as processing game, maintaining things in the field, adding a little bit to land navigation and finding our game in the dark. So a good tool kit. Next is cordage. Cordage is going to be crucial in a kit like this. We have several types of cordage. We can get away with one or two pieces of different cordage, but having a variety of cordage means we can do a lot of things. We have paracord, or primary survival cordage, can be used for shelter as well as field craft. And then we have two different bank lines. We have number 36 and number 16, I believe. We have a larger gauge bank line here for crafting. In my opinion, this would be good for lashing and binding materials together, like that pack frame that we mentioned. And then we have smaller gauge bank line. This would be good for different traps. If we're out there for a long period of time, we can use that smaller gauge to set up snares, as well as deadfalls or different types of traps to go after different animals. So we have a variety of cordage here, small, lightweight, that we can use for a lot of different purposes. And then one other thing we should probably have as part of our kit is some sort of drag line. This is just about 15 feet of tubular nylon webbing. Had it in a couple different videos with a carabiner, and it's all hanked up right now, but we can use this to put around large game and drag it out of the field. I've had to do that several times. This drag line can be used for a variety of different things, from shelter craft to field craft, and even if we had other ropes with us, we could use it as a Swiss seat to go down the side of a mountain. A lot of different things we can do with a drag line like this. All right, we have a small fire kit. We have that solar ignition as part of our binoculars that we can use as part of our scout kit to get a fire going, especially with the sun's rays. But for a smaller kit like this for hunting, we want something that's going to give us fire right now. So we just have a small ferro rod and then a film canister filled with cotton balls and Vaseline for our fire kit. A very traditional, easy to use fire kit. And this is one that goes with me as part of my normal hunting kit to get a fire going on the off chance you got to warm up. It's happened before, and it will probably happen again. Next is our water kit. We want to have a kit where we can treat water very quickly, get away from that water source where the animals might be congregating, to give ourselves a better chance of not scaring off the game. But then we want to have ways to treat water quickly so we can get a drink and stay hydrated. Primary way we're going to do that is with just a small Grail Geopress. This is just a filter. It takes 15 seconds. We scoop up that water in the cup, put the filter in here. The filter is the orange piece. Press it down. Once we unscrew the lid, about 15 seconds total, we'll have fresh, clean water right there. Plus, it's got a cap on top, so we can cap it and take it with us very easily. We can also use this filter to refill our canteen cup set. Again, having a way to transport water in a canteen and then a metal nesting cup to treat that water or boil it over a fire to make it safe to drink is crucial. And then our tertiary method, or our third method, is just going to be chemical tabs. Iodine tablets or water tablets can go inside our canteen to chemically treat that water. So we have 3 different ways of treating water right here: boiling, chemical means, and then filtration. So we have 3 ways to get water and stay hydrated, because we're going to be moving to and from water sources and we may not get water for a little while. So we need to have ways to treat that water quickly, drink it, stay hydrated, and then transport it over distance as well. One thing we should probably carry as part of this kit is a way to take other game and animals off the field. And we can do that with a smaller trapping and fishing kit like this. Shown this in another video, gone fishing. But here with this kit, we have a lot of different tools. With this kit, we have ways to take material off the field, like with a saw, so we can harvest a hobo reel or a spear. We have the frog gig spear with us already that we can use to stab frogs. We have homemade snares made out of small gauge galvanized wire. We can use these, set them up, remember where they are, and take small game. And we have a good fishing kit with some fishing traps, bobbers, line, sinkers, hooks, snare wire, additional wire for our snares, a small multi-tool to pull hooks out of fish's mouth or cut some wire. We even have some cordage, and then even a small gill net needle. We can make a net if we have to. A variety of different things that we can do with this small kit. So there are a lot of different things that we can do with this kit that can go after a wide variety of game. Everything from fish to amphibians to small game. One, to feed ourselves while we're hunting larger game, but then to also potentially use the remnants of those animals, the guts and things, as bait for different traps to go after larger game while we're still moving through the area. So having a smaller kit like this to go after a wide variety of game in the field and then craft different tools is incredibly important for something like this, and so we can include it. And that is the kit complete. Now, we don't have any shelter items necessarily. Our rain jacket, if we bring it with us, is going to be our primary protection item from the elements to stay warm and dry. But we have our tools like our hatchet and our knife, as well as our commando saw, to take material off the landscape and build a debris shelter to stay warm if we're out there longer than expected. But we have everything we need here to go hunting. All right, guys, another down and dirty video for you today. A gear dump for potential hunting kit, everything we need to survive, as well as take additional game off the field. So still doing a bunch of refit and recovery from the flood efforts, but I want to thank everybody who donated again to my GoFundMe to raise money for all the flood victims in Northwest Iowa. I really, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really hope you liked this video. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down in the comment section. I really appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.